All right, we are live. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon. I am Mr. Bill Adams with my guy on the left here, Mr. Dewey Conway. Yeah, I got it right
Hello.
this time, but you can't even see it. I got to put my fingers up higher. And we are two bearded curmudgeons, and we are with a third bearded curmudgeon, Mr. Michael Roberti. Mike, if you'd like to say hello to anybody out there.
Hey everybody, I am Michael Roberti. I'm happy to be here. Really glad that I'm with you dudes on this Wednesday evening before a hurricane.
Yeah, let's keep that in the back of our minds that there is a hurricane going over the Carolinas, and Mike is in one of the Carolinas, the north one,
the better one, some would say.
Oh, the better one. Okay, those might be fighting words, but I'm in the Midwest, so I can get away with saying fighting words.
Well, dude, there's no love lost between the Carolinas. Like we try to unite every so often, but like they put mustard on their barbecue. So like,
Tim, hey Tim, how are you?
always good to see Tim.
Always good to see Tim. All right, Dewey, you want to start us off with our new Mike? You weren't here last week when we were talking with Tim for his release. We started a new thing to kick off a Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon. And then, Dewey, go ahead.
And you're that honorary curmudgeon joining us tonight. And
All
so
right,
we have to rate our curmudgeon. So we have a curmudgeon scale. And this is just for today because being a curmudgeon changes daily.
True.
And even by the moment. So I'm putting it. If you have access to get into Google Slides, I'm putting in a link. I actually put that in the wrong place. Hold on.
Oh yeah, let's delete that.
There we go.
Private it's only chat for us three.
It's all I'm in the wrong. There we go. Okay, I'm putting in private chat there.
Private chat. Yep.
So and I'm going to share my screen.
I mean, we could put it in the public one because Tim is there, and he finally learned last week what curmudgeon means. He thought it meant bludgeon, to like hit somebody,
and it could. And
it
could.
We got Tim to learn a few that extra word there. So go ahead, Mike. You can lead us off.
All right.
Well, what you see, the rating is at 0. The kids these days are always on their phones. In the middle of the road is like, put that phone down, pay attention, kid. And then 10 is these days you can tell if somebody's talking to you or on their phone. Back in my day, we ignored people directly.
So am I rating myself?
Yeah, you're rating yourself.
Rate yourself today.
Curmudgeon-wise.
How's your curmudgeon going today?
Oh man, today I'm gonna say 10. I had to go cancel driver's ed. I have to figure out about what days I can drive kids. There's a hurricane coming. It's one of those things. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm mostly in a good mood, but at the same time, like if I saw, like I was trying to tell somebody, like what something, and they're on their phone, I'd probably lose my mind.
Well, I'm not quite there. I'm going to put myself in an 8. I'm almost to the point, but it's the nighttime, so I'm good. How about you, Bill? Where are you?
I was going to say, like today, I had a lot of work, but really not that curmudgeonly today. Not too bad. If this was yesterday, it would have been like a 13.
Oh man.
Yesterday was rough. But today not so bad.
Yesterday I would have been a 0.
Really?
Oh.
It was my first full day off in forever. Like after doing driver's ed for 3 hours the day before, I booked us a cat cafe where me and my wife and my son, because my daughter wasn't old enough, went. It was fantastic. We got boba tea, and they drew little cat faces on these cat things that go on it. We almost adopted one kind of, but it was $150, and we're not really about that life right now. But really wonderful time. I actually brought the God's Blood Tragedy to read there, but then like cats, so like we just kind of played with the cats.
Yeah, you don't really want to bring your cats around books.
No.
Place.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that sounds like fun. Well, I'm glad today you were a 10 because wouldn't be as much fun if only Dewey's a curmudgeon today.
Yeah, no.
I think we match energy.
Yeah. Well, thank you for participating, honorary curmudgeon. All right, Bill, back to you.
back to me. Okay, we'll start. So, okay, Mike, I know you might have jumped in on a little with Andrew, but again, we started with my interview a couple weeks ago. Dewey has created a nice little thing to get good questions started up, ready and raring to go. So we'll start this off with something kind of goofy, kind of fun. We enjoy it. I don't know if anybody else does. I know Tim enjoyed it last week. So, Tim, don't answer any of these questions because most of them are the same.
All righty. So I'm going to share my screen again. Let me explain how this works. Present, share screen, and hold on, I got to do the whole thing. There we go. All righty. So on the right side here, we have a little spinner.
I love this.
There are 10 questions, and I'm going to spin it. And if it lands on a number, that's the question you have to answer.
Right on.
But
okay.
If it lands on the porridge, then that means you choose one of us to answer a question.
Hold on. I have a question. Last week, was it porridge or was it something else?
It was a lizard
man.
Okay, I was about to say, like, if you did a porridge every time, I don't know if I'd be like flattered or something else. But okay, got it.
Lizard.
I like that. Yeah,
the lizard for Tim because Tim loves the lizard people.
Here we go. It's spinning, and 6.
Okay,
you got 6. I'm gonna take that away. So it looks like you got the little candelabra thing.
Ooh, okay,
and
fancy.
Here we go to number 6. Picture it: a Terminator, Predator, and a Xenomorph in a cage match. Who would win and who would lose first?
That's a really good question, actually. All right. So I'm seeing
tough one.
Well, I'm seeing a significant weakness here for the Predator, which I would normally say would be probably top tier, but it can't probably sense the Terminator. Similarly, the Terminator is.
But have you seen Predator 2 though? He has the views.
Can he see technology?
Well, I mean, I guess he was in the frozen section and saw Gary Busey. So I mean, Gary Busey's kind of like a Terminator.
So okay, so if you can see Gary Busey, you can see anybody. All right, but anyway, the only
just
making you guys upset. The only Terminators I've seen the first Terminator, and I think I saw one of the more recent ones. I forget which one that. I think it was the one where they like de-aged Arnold, and also had old Arnold in it. And I think that was in there. Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think they had a de-aged and aged Arnold in there.
It was the last one.
Alien.
It was the last one. Dark Fate.
Yeah, that was. I don't know. I'm not. I think we've talked about this in other interviews, or I don't know if that you guys saw those, but like I see movies sometimes, but like I'm not like a movie guy, and my wife is a movie girl, so it's been kind of weird. Like I had 6 DVDs when we got married, and she still makes fun of me for that. And the only other movie I've seen from any of these franchises was I saw Alien versus Predator, and then I saw Predators. Predators I absolutely hated, thought it was terrible. Alien versus Predator was pretty dope though, if I recall.
I like Predators. I think it's a good movie addition to the world. I like it. I love it.
Here are my beefs with it. And I think I saw it in theaters because my friend wanted to see it. One, Topher Grace. No, not like Topher Grace post that 70s show, and like what was the other thing he was in? Yeah, anything post to that 70s show just did not go great for him. They had a couple interesting characters that they killed immediately, like the jihadist or Muslim fighter, like super interesting, super cool, killed him immediately. And then Morpheus, Lawrence Fishburne was just honestly scarier than any of the Predators.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wasn't into that. I know a little bit about the lore of these things. I really want to see any of the Alien movies. It's kind of one of those things I've missed. I've been going back and seeing classics. Like I finally saw Halloween. All right, here's where I'm going to go with this. I think the Terminator is going to kill the Predator. I really do think that. I think he gets the drop on him on accident. I think that happens really early on because the Predator, whereas the Predators are a warrior race, they have some significant weaknesses that have been shown up in these movies, and one of them is that they expect the hunt to go a certain way. You know what I'm saying? And I think
Yeah.
that's what gets them there. As far as the xenomorph goes versus the Terminator, I don't think the Terminator has enough firepower to stop the xenomorph. He's got that
Well, it's got
shotgun.
the acid for blood too, so it can like eat into the
Yeah, right.
exoskeleton.
Yeah, so I don't think that the Terminator could kill. I mean, I think it could really F the xenomorph up. I don't think it could kill it.
Awesome.
Fair assessment. Fair
This
assessment.
is also my battle writing process right here. Is like I just like I don't know. This guy's not that good.
Well, you have to see the second Terminator then. If you haven't seen it,
I don't think I have.
That's the classic Terminator
Yeah,
Judgment Day.
and you need to see Aliens, the
and
second one.
Aliens. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the James Cameron one, which is amazing.
Okay. My wife really likes James Cameron, so that might be a good sell. I really hate James Cameron, so maybe this will change my mind.
This is pre-Titanic James Cameron.
Okay.
This is him coming out of his Roger Corman kind of.
Yeah.
I really want to get
Stage
more into
there.
movies and like understand what you guys are like talking about, because I remember seeing this thing and somebody asked me about directors and I'm like, I haven't seen any movies by any of these guys. Now I do know some Tarantino because I was a kid of the 90s 2000s and like why not? But
Yeah.
other than that, I don't know if I've seen a single Scorsese film. I don't know if I've seen a bunch of others. I really want to get into some Kurosawa because I think that would be right. I think that'd be my jam.
I think so too, especially with what the phase of reading you're going through now. Like it's complete opposite of Last Kingdom, Cornwall writing genre, but it's also very similar.
Yeah, I can see that, dude. I can see that.
It's Kurosawa is definitely some good stuff you need to get into. Oh, we lost Dewey.
Oh no, yeah, dude. I think I get where because it's more pulpy. I think probably than the Cornwall stuff, but also still very much that swordsman feudalistic type thing, which I really love.
Did you watch what was that show that was just on Shogun? Did you watch that one?
Dude, I want to watch it. So anything like that is a very hard sell for my wife, and we mostly watch TV together. Most of the TV I watch that's not with my wife is during my lunch period, which I haven't really had during the summer because I don't know if I told you this. I literally have like 15 minutes for lunch. Like when I was working 9 hours a day, I would do 2 drivers, 15-minute break, 1 driver, 15-minute break, 2 drivers, 15-minute break, and that would be my lunch, and so on and so forth. But dude, it was, when I say this was a brutal schedule, like I'd go home and like the only thing that me and my wife could watch was Seinfeld because I just had no mental acuity to really like engage with anything. Like I told you, the God's Blood tragedy, it's just like with the level of description and stuff, like I got through the Cornwall book really easily because it's very simple prose. I read it, I read it when I was on my break. Same thing with the Pariah, which I don't think is as simple. But it's just like the like based on like where my mind was, but like trying to understand the magnificent world of the God's Blood tragedy. It was just like I get home and be like, Mike be dumb now. I can't.
It's a little dense. I can say that, but that's okay.
Yeah. No, dude. Yeah. I'm reading it now and I'm enjoying it way more now because I can actually think. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I would appreciate that you read it when you can, and not when you're exhausted,
dude.
But speaking of books, let's dive into it a little bit, especially now that Dewey's back. Dewey.
Sorry.
Has not read your books. I have. But for people that have not read them, give us a little insight to the world of Eighth.
Okay.
Or Eighth. Is it Eighth?
Eighth.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the Crown and Tide series.
So
give us that elevator pitch.
You got it. Eighth is a world where writing disappears when the person who wrote it dies. So you write something, you die. Even if you've written many books, if it's in your handwriting, you die. So a couple questions that you might have right off the bat if you're not familiar with me. What happens if you do a painting? It stays. Your signature on the painting would disappear. It's any written language disappears. And that's going to be something that I tackle in another series a little bit after this, because the Crown and Tide series at its core is really more about the interpersonal relationships between three people, and then eventually the realm at large. But it's about a rebellion between the Aragon Reach, which is as we would think of them, somewhat Irish, somewhat Scottish, somewhat Welsh, somewhat Nordic people, but kind of standing in for any people who have been oppressed by a advanced or more advanced civilization, or more organized civilization, let's say. And they've rebelled against the Crown, which is the Kingdom of Harfall, which has several provinces in it. And at first, we think it's a fairly simple story, as of a charismatic leader who has decided that his people can no longer suffer this injustice. But as we see through the point of view of his son, Cale Oberlin, and his daughter, Marilee Oberlin, he is not who he really purports himself to be. And the war itself, we find out, is not what it originally seems to be as well. And then as we get into A Grave for Us All, we kind of reckon with these events and reckon with, and this is going to carry on into the third book. Who are we now? And what do we do now that this is over? And is it over? Or is anything really over? Is revenge worth it? And it's one of those things where I think that every character is going to come up with a slightly different answer for those questions.
And it's every character that survives to the end that has that answer.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be real. No joking around here. This is a bloody series, high body count.
Oh yeah,
lots of tricks, lots of betrayals, lots of schemes. Shall we say?
Sure. I agree.
So, and I love the concept of the writing disappearing as when a person dies. Was it always that way in this world?
As far as I know, yes. It's possible that it wasn't always. So this is something that I haven't really talked about in other interviews. So Eighth is kind of interesting because we kind of hit the series and the world in a very interesting time. As a lot of people know, it was a Dungeons and Dragons settings before it was a book setting. And the D&D games we ran that were in this world were actually mostly like a few hundred years in the future from this event, the Crown and Tide series. So it was referenced a lot as more of a lore thing rather than an actual campaign or anything. But this happens about 200 years after an event known as the Span of Ash. And I don't know that I defined what that was exactly in the books, but for those who've read the books, this will be some interesting lore. There's an island called Sorheim. There's a giant volcano there. And at one point it erupted and just kind of like what we, Krakatoa or any other thing that they blame for the Dark Ages, just spewed a bunch of ash out. And there's a time called the Span of Ash that lasted a few hundred years where it was hard to grow things. There's a lot of turmoil. People got sick and died very easily. So what we have for this time period, we call the second founding. There's actually a first founding. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the third book, finally, where we find out, who are these people in the prologue of Traders and the prologue of A Grave for Us All who invaded. But there's a lot of stuff that happened in that first era, because I do have a lot of stuff for that hasn't been revealed. I figured out fairly recently in the last few years, but before I wrote Traders, there was an event before that was very similar to the Span of Ash, completely different set of circumstances. So what was before that time period? I don't know. That's the one where maybe writing was permanent. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. I thought it instantly. I thought of that. I was like, oh, well, is the result of some kind of cataclysmic event? What's the magic system in this?
Good question. So when it comes to the writing and stuff like that, a lot of people get upset that I don't really hint at why that is, but it is primarily a function of the world. Probably it's always been that way. And it actually, with my explanation that I have, even if at the inception of the world, when the gods created it, that writing disappeared, it would make perfect sense with the explanation I have. The magic system is that there was at some point a creation event, and there were two elder gods that kind of spawned from this creation event and then helped create the other stuff and facilitated the other parts of life. Not more lore that probably, I don't know that I ever said this either. Very heavily influenced in the D&D games. Like my D&D players will all know this, / the people who play with other groups that play the setting. There are the elder gods, and then there are another set of kind of like what we would think of as almost like the Greek titans that represent things like, for instance, magic. The birth of magic is linked to a specific deity. There is the first dragon, and one of the reasons that there's not that many dragons is that they all come from this one dragon. Is the essence of physical being and physical life, and things like that. So the magic system is kind of the energy that is left over from that is threads that are found throughout the world. So you don't really see that in traders because most of the people, and actually most of my main characters are actually pretty stupid. Like they're just like they're not very smart people. Like even the most clever are clever in certain ways, but not clever in like the knowledge of the world. In Grave, we start seeing how the magic works a little bit more. And so, for instance, Dewey, if I was an accomplished mage, like a really accomplished mage, I would wear a mask and other clothing with hard edges to kind of like almost like to defray the static electricity, but it's the magic. And I could see you and be like, okay, there's a thread there. I could find the thread, grab it, and it might, attach to your heart, and I could pull it and kill you.
Wow.
So okay. There's basically the energy of life or the energy of creation kind of links us all. But at the same time, can be used in different ways. It's not a hard magic system. I don't have like rules like you need this many whatevers to do this many whatevers. It's more like let's be cool and like kill people with magic.
Wow, that's really cool. I remember when we did the Authors and Adventures with yours because my character had thread magic.
Yeah, you were one of those types of mages.
Yeah, it was really pretty neat.
Dewey, bring it up.
Oh, okay. You know what?
Restart, so I'm probably not there, right?
It's calling. Bill, I'm a professional. I've got it. I have got it up.
All right.
Well, good.
The screen, anyway. Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
All righty. We left off with number 6, so I'm going to minimize that so you don't see the questions.
Sure.
All right, Mike. Are you feeling lucky?
I'm feeling very lucky.
Duck.
Oh, good. All right.
So you have to choose a number.
Okay.
It's a random number. And,
I already got it. I see a crown right there. I'm picking number 2.
Okay. And who do you want to ask this question? Me or Bill?
So I feel like I know Bill fairly well at this point. I want to know from Dewey, number 2.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Oh, that's another Terminator question. If you had to choose any fictional character to help you defeat the T-1000, who would you choose and why? I guess not a Predator.
No, dude, don't pick a Predator. That's a bad idea. That's a horrible idea. No.
I don't know. Let's see. There's a lot out there.
Oh man, I've got to get answer.
You can do it.
No, I know. I'm going through my Rolodex of characters.
Sure.
I think a fun one would be Plastic Man.
Oh yeah.
Who?
Rather. Plastic
Man.
DC.
Oh
yeah. Like the less good Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, but he's been around longer than Mr.
True. I mean, like Marvel definitely like, I feel you.
Yeah, kind of stole from.
Maybe.
But ultimately, I think I would want something that could disrupt it like completely, and I don't know. It might Xenomorph would turn on me, wouldn't it? So
you know who I think would be fun if we're gonna pick out Marvel characters? I'd like to see the Juggernaut, bitch.
Oh
yeah,
100%. The Crimson Bandit.
That would be a fun battle royale.
Oh, he would just absolutely mop the floor. I mean, it would be like a very beautiful showing. All right. But if we're talking about people who completely annihilate this T-1000, even though I'm not supposed to answer this question.
Yeah, you can answer.
Go for it.
The one character you should always choose anytime is somebody like, oh, you need to battle this thing. Goku. Like 100% Goku, like from Dragon Ball Z. Like even if he can't beat it, he's gonna like
yeah.
he's gonna train and beat it. Like he will win. It just might take a few times, but he'll win.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good choice. All right, I'm gonna go with that one actually.
Yeah, dude, Goku.
Goku with the tail or without the tail?
Oh no, dude, I'm talking about like full on like current
Super Saiyan?
Yeah, like just like
Super
the fact
Saiyan,
like, oh man, I just died. Oh nope, I'm back. That's the Goku I want.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna take it off.
Good answer.
So Mike,
go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
And that is because, like Bill said, it's might not be any surprise. It's not going to be any surprise to Bill, but I'm not a huge reader, to be honest. And what's really, it's kind of like you don't watch movies. It's kind of like
Sure, fair enough. I feel you.
I'm very selective with my reading time because I don't have a lot of it. I don't have a lot of reading time, which I wish I did. But if I were to if I were to go into the bookstore and I see your book and I'm like, oh my gosh, this looks incredible, but then there's this other book over here, why would I choose your book? Like what's gonna make me go, oh yeah, this is the action that I need.
I get you. I think the thing that I do well, and this is, I think, bared out by reviews, and this is the thing I really hope for, even just writing it, is that I really wanted the characters to feel like real people. If they do bad things, they get punished. If they're not as clever as they need to be, they die. They have hopes, they have dreams. Like, some people try to label me as grimdark, and I don't think that's accurate, because I think for the most basic level, most characters in my books are not grimdark. Mathis Quinlan, he's a grimdark character. Zopa of Gold, he's a grimdark character. But you have your Marileys, your Darises, even Kale to some extent. These are characters that actually hope for something better. And I think that that's something we can resonate with, and I mean, like, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn or anything like that, or say that like other people can't do it or do it better. But I think, like, if you look at my fantasy book and another fantasy book, the thing that I do that I think people like and really respond to is the fact that they feel like these characters are people to them, and that they genuinely feel fear when they die, or genuinely fear that they might, overstep.
Well, I think that's one of the most important things as an author to try to do, is to make your audience feel like they can connect with the character on a personal level. I know that might sound cliche, but it's true. And that's what makes a book successful. And so that's really pretty awesome. And I also love that this was born out of your love for gaming.
Oh yeah, dude.
That when I did read quite a bit back in college and before kids and being married and all that,
I feel you.
When I did read, one of my favorite authors at the time was Raymond Feist, who wrote the Krondor series way back when. But that whole series stemmed also from D&D, like his D&D campaigns and things. And I just, whenever you tell me that, I think about him and think, oh, it's so cool. That's cool to be able to transmute all of that gaming into an actual world and story and place for other people to actually live,
dude,
via the book.
100%. And I think even like Malazan, I think, is also like, that's the same thing, as that was the D&D campaign. And like that was one of the things like that I had tampered with playing, like, author before this. And, most of the time I was like, I'm just a pretty good DM. I'm just going to keep DMing. And then people be like, oh, you need to write a book. Oh, you need to write a book. And it wasn't until there were like offshoot campaigns where other people took the world and started doing their own campaigns in it. And I actually had like one of those campaigns was like, we're going to write a book in this world. And I was like, oh no. Okay, hold on a second. And that was when I wrote Traders, because I was like, I need to like
reclaim your world.
Yeah, I need to lock this down, because like, and I mean, like, I enjoy, like, Jonathan the Shortsleeve. My very good friend is, on Authors and Adventures, but he DMs the world in a very different way than I do. And not that that's bad or wrong, but there's a vision I have for the world. And that's kind of what I want to put out there, is that low magic, interpersonal, things. And I think, like, people respond to that, I think.
Dewey, what are you eating?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so hungry. I'm sorry, Mike. Some might say that this is, crushed grains boiled in
Oh my gosh,
water
are you serious?
or porridge. Mm,
I have to say this is an all-time first that
it is so
somebody.
good.
It is very good and very
So good.
nutritious. It's a superfood. It is a superfood, guys. Like there's the fiber, the protein you need. I did not expect this.
So, so I explained to Dewey beforehand because he was like, "What's this porridge thing all about?"
Right.
So, Mike, tell us in your own words while Dewey eats his porridge.
It's
To
delicious.
the rest of
I'm
us,
so hungry.
where did this start, and how come it's attached to Mike Roberti?
So that's kind of one of those weird things. Is like I read a lot of books, and it's like this guy mentions porridge way more than I do. Andrew D. Meredith, the Collation Saga, like 500% more porridge than traders. 500%. But basically what happened was Tori Tekken and I connected probably 2022, sometime late in the year, and she was like kind of interested in the book, had bought a copy of it, and she did a video for her booktube channel, which was like rating the first lines of fantasy series, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I hope that'd be great if I was in it, and I see I am in it. Well, I'm gonna watch that during my lunch. That's great. Then I think to myself, what is the first line of my book? and I was like, well, if it's chapter 1, it's Kale killing somebody, which is great. Let's start with that. Violence right away, great. And I'm like, well, what is the first line of the prologue? And I'm like, it's somebody cooking porridge. And I thought to myself, please don't read that porridge line. That would not be great. Please don't read that porridge line. And her and her husband were reading the lines, and they read the porridge line. And I say, oh no. But out of 5 stars, Tori gave it a 4-star, and I believe her husband gave it a 4.5, which I'm forever grateful for. And I actually, rated fairly highly in that video, and I was very pleased. But like, it was a genuine fear of mine. So then, like, when there's these things where it's like put your book cover there and write arrows next to it with what you can find in the book. And I've been very stupid about like being very nervous about spoilers my entire career, even though like who cares. So I did 2 arrows. I did one betrayal, the other one porridge. Those are the 2 things I guarantee you. And it's kind of become a little bit of a meme, but like weirdly enough, it's like very much worked for me. Where like I've had a few people be like, I was really interested in this book, but then the dude started talking about porridge, and like the book's still good, but like the guy is really weird. But I've also had like bigger authors be like porridge man, and like and things like that, or like people buy the book.
I love it.
Thing. Yeah, dude, it's worked for me in a very strange way. And the world
it's your marketing ploy right now.
If anyone doesn't get it, then that's their problem.
No, for real. And I mean, like, yeah,
that's cool.
Who cares? Yeah, dude. And I mean, like porridge is very, very good for you. It's cheap.
It's delicious.
I literally have 5 pounds of oats right next to me right now.
Oh my god!
Got at Sam's Club. Best deal in the world.
Oh,
it's like $10 for 5 pounds of oats.
And Dewey's just gonna be eating his porridge in the background.
Yeah,
it's so good.
I've been starving. Make sense. I get asked about my recipe for oats. I used to do overnight oats, but that was too much work because, like, honestly, you can just microwave it for 2 minutes and it's fine.
Yeah.
All right. Here's all you need to do. You want a good breakfast? You want like a high protein, low cal breakfast? Oats, protein powder. Mix them together. Put some.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, put the protein powder in after you cook it because, like, you know what I'm saying. But like, you'll get the protein, you'll get the fiber, you'll get everything, and you'll be full till lunch.
I might try that. Well, that would mean I'd have to get protein powder, which would mean that I'd have to go to the healthy section of the store, which I don't even know where that is.
Yeah, I don't think the gummy bears and the gummy worms are in the same section as the protein powder they're doing.
They actually have like gummy worm flavored protein powder now, so like this might be your time to shine.
Well, yeah, Bill sent me some gummy bears.
Yeah, that's how I pay off my artist. I send them gummy bears, and
that was my payment. I mean, I requested it. That was my payment, genuinely. Like, give me a bag of gummy bears. And
As somebody like testing that market, like, dude, if you want some gummy bears for some art, like, let's
Mike's
talk. Is
sitting
like,
here thinking, I need some art,
oh,
so I can
what
get
is
some
the
gummy bears.
what is the gummy bear to art ratio here? I don't know.
Yeah, what is the translate or the currency exchange there? How's that?
well, all I can say is I'm out of gummy bears already.
Ooh, okay.
I just sent it to you like a week ago.
Dewey loves gummy. Like, let's lay off Dewey.
I sent up Mike. You should have seen these bags. I sent 2 big dumb bags. Like they were like 5 pounds of gummy bears a piece.
Well, the gummy worms aren't done.
Oh, okay.
Okay, see, like,
I didn't do
judges,
both.
man.
Okay.
It was just,
well, I was gonna say if you ate both of them, I'd be very scared for your intestines.
I mean, it's good for you. The gummy bears are good.
Hey Tim.
Okay, so we got it coming up. Oh no! Oh, there it is.
There you go.
It's
Let's do it.
question time. We got to go.
I
We
love
had our
this, by the
porridge.
way.
We had our porridge.
Hopefully we
and-
don't have no more T1000 questions. I think
I'm
we're
just-
done
I-
in the
that was
tournament.
it. That was it.
I feel like I would be a addicted gambler if I gambled at all. But oh my gosh! All right, let's see what number 10 is.
Number 10, we got the dragon. Okay, so let's see what we got. What is your favorite go-to
This is gonna
bad
be nothing.
movie to watch on a rainy day? And you've already told us you had 6 DVDs.
Yes.
So was there a bad movie in one of those, or what's your bad movie? What do you love?
All right, my all-time favorite movie, and I do not consider this to be a bad movie, but I could see where it would be a bad movie. But my absolute favorite movie of all time is Battle Royale. I think that is absolutely brilliant.
No, that's not a bad movie at all. No.
But like,
that's
dude,
a
like,
classic.
I agree. But like, there are moments in Battle Royale. Like, my wife is over here, like, just like, she hates Battle Royale. We have seen Battle Royale so many times. But like the guy with the machine gun and he's blind and he's just shooting. I love that. All right, so
Do you know what he's talking about, Dewey?
Yes, thank you. I
Okay.
do.
Dude, it's a
Japanese
great
movie.
It's all right. As classic and as good as it is, there are some really weird things about it. You know what I mean? It's very cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is my all-time favorite movie. Some other movies, and actually most of my movies kind of fall into this category of kind of bad. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I really love that one.
That's not
That's
bad
good.
either.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
you
bad
need
either.
to reassess your
All right.
definition of bad.
How bad do we want to go here? Okay. So like my good movie that I watch on a rainy day is Skyfall. That's my good movie. Like I feel like
Good
that's like a peak cinema right there. Bad
Good choice.
movie.
Like,
Okay. Dang, I don't know. Like I'm not like see that's the thing. I don't really like bad movies. I'm trying to think of some like hold on. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna mute my microphone and ask my wife. She's raising her hand. Okay. So I do like to watch bad movies with my wife. And my wife is a connoisseuress of bad movies. Specifically, her 2 genres are disaster movies and shark movies. And Deep Blue Sea is utterly fantastic.
oh, that's an awesome movie.
Well, I recently saw for the first time Josie and the Pussycats. I could watch that all day. I don't know if you consider that bad movie. To me, that's amazing.
I actually enjoyed that movie, to be honest. Even when it came out.
Yeah.
But
I didn't see it when it
Sea,
came out.
No, Deep Blue Sea just came out 25 years ago. Anniversary just this past week. Go watch it. One of the best movie shark movies ever made. No joke.
1 second. She is very excited. But like Jaws is one of her favorite movies. We went to go see the Meg on her birthday. 47 meters down. Like she is a shark girl. Ow. Okay, I don't think it's on Netflix anymore. This is my all-time favorite bad movie. I don't know if you guys know about this. I honestly feel like maybe it was a fever dream. There is a movie called Sand Sharks, and I really want you guys to watch it right this second. You've seen it?
Yeah.
With Brooke.
It's so bad.
It is
so bad it's good.
But it's so good. Like where like they have this like music concert. There's only like it's supposed to be so crowded. There's actually 15 people in there running in and out of the shot, and you can recognize each and every one of them. Brooke Hogan is a scientist. That is my favorite bad movie of all time. It is.
Dewey, that's a good one to watch.
I haven't seen that.
I think it's on Prime. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I know it's on Prime.
I would watch that right this sec. Like you're lucky I'm not canceling this interview right now because I forgot all about that. But yeah, like I mean, we watched some bad movies together. But like I mean, like with my 6 DVDs were pretty classic. Persepolis was in there. Band of Brothers. My wife makes fun of me.
That's got to be a 10 DVD. That doesn't count as one.
No, yeah, I feel you. My wife makes fun of me because like she likes action and horror movies, and I like kind of artsy stuff a little bit. Like another movie I really, really loved and I'd love to watch again. And I would not say this is a bad movie at all, but like I think it is like just absolute perfectionist Drive. Like I think Drive was one of like
that's a good one.
It is like that moment where they're in the elevator and the movie flips is just like I wish I could capture that. Oh, my wife's raising her hand. Hold on.
I like the background.
Midnight in Paris is one of my favorite movies as well. I don't know if you've seen that, where it's Owen Wilson. He is and he goes back in time to chill with Hemingway and them. That's not a bad movie either. I don't know what my wife's talking about.
I don't think I've seen that one. No.
Bill, I got some homework for you, bud. Go watch Midnight in Paris. It is fantastic. Do you like do you like Hemingway and Fitzgerald at all, or?
I do.
I don't dislike them.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's somewhere along the way.
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
So speaking of art movies, I know we'll get back. We'll get off this in a second. But this is a good one, and your wife may have seen it. It's called Rubber. I think it's about a tire that the tire is the main character, and it's going around killing people.
I've seen bits and pieces.
I'm gonna ask her real quick. I've definitely never seen that.
Okay, it's pretty awesome. I think it's called Rubber.
I don't know if it's called Rubber, but I know which one you're talking about.
She does not. She is incredulous.
I'm looking it up. Yeah, it is. It's Rubber. It's called Rubber. It came out in 2010. It's about a serial killer tire that goes around killing people in the back. I think it's set in like Arizona.
I think a college friend told me about that because I had a lot of college friends into B movies. Okay. And I know you guys were talking about doing bad movies. I have an assignment for you, and I would like to be on this episode, as a matter of fact. This is going to sound super weird. Long story short, so I was involved in the hardcore punk scene when I was a kid. When I was like 19, I was hanging out with this dude. He was like 26, which is kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? His name was Den Lee. I think he's a fashion designer now, but he's a short little Asian man from like his parents were Cambodian. He was covered in tattoos. And he would bring like a DVD over my house and we'd watch it. So that's actually where I saw Green Street Hooligans, which I thought was great. We saw a movie called Ezo. And Ezo is the absolute worst movie I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, even I think the second time I watched that, we even fast forward through most of it because he accidentally left it at my house. It's about a samurai who dies and goes through like basically hell in the afterlife. But there's this Japanese acid rock singer who's like singing in the background almost the entire time. But none of the scenes make any sense or have any continuity, and they're all like vaguely offensive. Ezo, IZO. I want you guys to watch that. When you do, I want to be on that episode if you guys do this, because like talk about terrible movies. Like that is not a comfort movie. That is not a fun movie to watch. It is just very, very upsetting. And it's how is this allowed to be made?
Well, because it's not
in the
American,
comments.
Probably.
In the comments, if you have seen Ezo, say send help, and we will go get a sponsor from one of those mental health things because you probably need it.
All right, you've convinced me. I want to watch this. All
right.
Oh boy, how do we transition from that?
Let's just talk. Let's keep going. Let's do it. Okay, go ahead.
I have a question for you because we're all, and we kind of been asking this all along, but I'm really wanting to know your thoughts on this. You're an indie publisher. You published your book, and independently from the traditional, traditional route. What was your journey to get here? Like did you start the traditional route? Like tell us all about that. I'd like to hear it.
So it's been complicated. I tried to write books a few times. I had very little success. I wrote a book in 2014, 15 that I'm going to eventually remaster and rechange up. It was terrible, but I like some of the concepts I had with that. And I didn't seek publication. I didn't edit it. I've known people who were agented and still have not sold a book, or I got their book published. So eventually I was just like, and this has been a question I've had for many, many years, was, can I write a book? And I thought to myself, I don't think I can. So around 2021, I thought, well, people are wanting to write books in my world. People are telling me I should write books in my world. And in fact, like one of my really good friends who was an English major, I believe as well, said, you could have multiple people writing books in this world and not exhaust the material. And I was like, well, let me do it. So I wrote the first chapter of Traders as maybe a short story, maybe something else, maybe a book. And it was actually like I had actually previously written some of that before because I was trying really hard to write. I felt like it actually for the first time really, really hit. And I thought to myself, okay, well, I really like this. I know this story exists in the world. I really like it. And I was like, chapter 2. Well, you know what? Let's switch characters. What about that dude who I know has to exist? What's he doing? So I wrote about that. And then I was going to go back to the original guy, and I thought, wait a second. I know that the sister's important. Let's go to the sister for a little bit. And then it just I kind of rolled from there. And like I actually wrote most of Traders in I wrote probably 50,000 words of Traders in about 2 weeks. And then
oh wow.
Yeah, dude, wow. I wrote it really fast. I wrote almost the entire book in 6 months. And then actually, no, I did write the whole book in 6 months with a few edits after that. And then I had to do a few edits because I can't afford to edit or whatever. So anyway, I talked to my sister who has knowledge of the traditional publishing industry, and she helped me with some things. I got some interest in PitMad. One of the agents liked one of my tweets and was like, this is too similar to what I already got. And I thought to myself, and I was like, let's say the best case scenario happened and I got an agent. How long would it take for me to get a book? And I was freaking out a little bit. And I sent out 12 queries. I've heard it's nice if they mention personalize it and put your name in it or mention your characters. And I got some of that, which was great. But I just got really mad one day and I was like, I really hate querying. It makes my stomach feel sick. I don't like it. I don't think it's good. And I got mad one day and I created a cover in 5 seconds and I stuck it up and I was just like, here's my book. And then I did that for a while. I just dropped it. And by all standards, I know that there are these people out here selling hundreds of dollars of books their first month or whatever. I sold 22 books my first month and $50, which I had no lead up, I had no launch, I had very little clout. I got really lucky. I hooked up with Diana Gunn and Danny Finn pretty early on, and got onto a panel with Angela Board, 2 other people. One of them, I know the first name is Noah, and he's on Angry Robot Books. And then I forget who the other one was. And Crystal Matar was going to be on that panel, but had I think a family emergency, which I thought that The Legacy of Brightwash at that point was a romantasy because of the title. And I was very wrong. So I did that and I just kept on connecting. And really my big breakthrough was I started reading other books by indie authors. And when that Spiff book came out, I got confused. I thought Crystal Matar was in that Spiff bow. So I read Brightwash and thought, it's probably one of my favorite books of all time, indie or not. And so, I talked to Crystal a lot and they, helped me with, just being a very good. Oh no, not revamping anything. Just being a good supporter of being nice, you know what I mean? And then I saw a review of Thrice by Andrew D. Meredith, and I was like, a needle worker? That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. I love that. Who thinks of putting a needle worker as their main character? So I was like, hey, is there an audiobook? And Andrew, not knowing me, was like, yes, my friend recently released the audiobook for me. And I was like, okay. And it was and I listened to it. I'm like, and this is Thrice by Andrew D. Meredith, read by Andrew D. Meredith. And I was like, ha, 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 ha. But anyway, I read that and loved it. And then I got on Discord, and I was on the Indie Accords Discord, and Andrew's like, hey, does anybody want the Deathless Beast audiobook? I'm like, I do. And, we started talking from there and we became good friends. But that's kind of where it kind of all spiraled. And I did okay my first year. For an indie author, it wasn't amazing by any stretch of the means. I publish this, post these things pretty often. I think I made $300, sold 300 books, 4,000 page reads or something like that. And then I got into Spiffbo the next year, and that's when things started taking off a little bit. And then when I released Crave this year, things started, going a little bit further. But honestly, I don't regret it at all. I feel like I would still be waiting, even if I had an agent, I'd still be waiting for somebody to pick up my book. They might change it. And I have a very distinct vision for this world. And I know I'm rambling a lot, but hopefully that was a good answer.
No. And to your point, though, I think having read all 3 books, and this is not to sound like it's a knock towards you, but I don't think the trad published world or industry would have looked for this book.
No, dude, I feel you.
And that's what, like, I don't like the trad industry most of the time, is because all those books, while they're great, but they're all the same. Yours is like its own thing, and it's an interesting, like, it starts off, and Dewey, for you, since you haven't read it, and for people who haven't read it, and I know Mike can talk to this better, but it starts off with a war, and then like halfway through, the book completely pivots into like political intrigue.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a two different types of stories. Like the trad industry, they don't like that stuff.
No, dude.
They want something marketable and sellable and all that stuff. So like I'm glad you went this route, man, because like you said, you'd still be waiting, unfortunately, and then most of us would. That's why all of us are doing this crazy journey. But
well, and that's the thing, is people want the good story, like they want the human story, and that's actually, like, to your point, like where it pivots. I even thought, like, so I wrote the first part of Traders with market in mind, and then I was like, I really want to expand my wheelhouse a little bit. I want to do what I want to do. And I was like, people might not like this. And there's been some reviews where people are like, oh, I like book, part 1 way more. Oh, I like part 2 way more. And, that's fine. But like, it's still, I mean, like, I think you need both, you know what I mean? And it was hard to elevator pitch, because like, it was like, what do I comp to it? And my comp was A Song of Ice and Fire meets Bridgerton. And like, I mean, like, there's like something to that, you know what I mean? Like, there is like there's a little bit of humor. Like, I don't think that I'm nearly as dark as A Song of Ice and Fire. And I think there's like my point when people ask me about A Song of Ice and Fire is, I'm like, you don't need to know character names, you need to know family names. And in this one, I think the characters are a little bit more important. And like, for instance, the Freya Eric dynamic that evolves is very actually, like, weirdly enough, another influence was Dairy Girls. I don't know if you guys have seen Dairy Girls, one of my favorite shows, but like, it's just like, the thing is, you can't have darkness all the time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. It's like The Crow. It can't rain all the time,
Yeah, dude, for real.
So that's a good pivot. Speaking of characters, I have 3 questions relating to characters. Which character is the most Mike Roberti?
Okay.
Which character is your least favorite to write? And which character would have the hardest adjustment period if they were portaled into present day America?
All right, I'm going to answer this slightly reverse. I'm going to say the one that has the least trouble going into America right now. Emil Trestensen would kill in today's America and would be the next president of these United States. 100%. All right, so most me,
I could see that, unfortunately.
I mean, we like a type, dude. So I actually have 2 characters that are the most me, and for different reasons. So Cale Oberlin is very much me. Like, not necessarily right now. Like, I'm on a good dosage of antidepressants. I'm very happy in my life. It took me some time to get here, but like, old young Mike was very angry, very chip on his shoulder, very depressed, very much doubting himself all the time, very much not, like, always feeling like whatever he did was going to be wrong. And I think like that's where I got Cale from, was like some of that those darker days. The other one, I think that is very much like me, but on the opposite end of the spectrum is Eric. And like, Eric has a lot of similarities to me. Not always good, but like, he wants to do the right thing. And the current Mike is always very much like, like I try to abide by the letter of the law and do the right thing for people. And even if it's like, other people aren't doing the right thing, I want to do the right thing. And Eric is terrible with girls. I was very terrible with girls, and I got very lucky that my wife, who is very introverted, was the one to make the move, because like, we would be still in stasis, 11 years later. Those 2 are definitely. So
your wife is the basis of Freya then, huh? A little bit.
A very little bit, for that very brief time period, yes. And she's a huge fan of both of them. But actually, that scene where Eric kisses, and it wasn't my wife, but like Eric kisses Freya's eye was like a real life thing that happened with me, because like I've just never been good with anything like that. What was the second question again?
Second question is, who's your least favorite to write?
I had a lot of trouble with Orden, just because like and like you actually pointed this out, I think in your review, is like he's not as clever as he thinks he is, but he is more clever than the Reach. And like he's a sociopath. You know what I mean? Like the way he looks at people is disgusting. So that was a little bit tough to write. Zope of Gold is also a little bit tough to write because for similar reasons. But those
Because
two are
murderous.
mostly because he's like post morality. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's not necessarily that he's bad. It's just that it doesn't matter if he's good or bad. He's Zope of Gold. He's a force of nature. You know what I mean? The easiest ones to write were Kale, Freya. Actually, Marilee is probably my easiest and favorite to write. She's probably my favorite character. And I know some people, most people shout out Freya or Kale. Marilee is my favorite character. I know she's Dr. John Morrow's favorite character. It really is. Who's Pegs?
Oh,
From Tana.
It's from Tana.
Oh, I haven't got that far yet. No spoilers.
Okay.
All right, Peak Eric though. So Peak Eric, and I want to point this out because I think people like spoilers. Eric gets very horribly injured in chapter 4 by Kale. Peak Eric was like a very, very good fighter. Like, yeah, dude, very, very good fighter. Like he would have, how old was he? He was like 22, 23.
He might have been the Terminator at that point, right? That's
like I don't know about then. Like, dude, you give that dude 5 years to keep doing what he's doing, and I think he would have beat just about anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like he the way he thinks and visualizes battle and stuff like that. I don't think he's a perfect fighter, because I think that's why later in the book Zora and Eric are good tutors together, because Eric is very much fundamentals and theory and visualization, and Zora's more about feeling the battle. But dude, like Eric had his future robbed from him. Like he could have been somebody. Pegs, I don't know who Pegs is yet, but me and Grayson will tell you in a little bit.
Yeah, ask Grayson because he'll tell you.
Oh yeah, he'll know.
And I do have a question before we switch off of your books here. As an artist myself, I love these covers. I love the tone of them and how you've constructed them. So you mentioned you did the cover for your book. When Traders first came out. Is that this cover or did you?
No, it is not.
I have to ask. I
feel you. I'm gonna find a really old cover version. I'm gonna let you put a picture of it. So this is from getcovers.com, which is a Ukrainian company that is a training ground for Nibble art. These are $35 a piece. So that's one of the things. Like, yeah, dude, that's one of my things. Is like, if I can do this, just about anybody can do it. You know what I'm saying? I will say, based on what I've seen from myself and other people, they do need direction. The first one, Traders, they basically just banged that out on their own after I gave them like 3 images. I'm like, this is kind of what I want. Grave, I think Grave took a little bit more where we had to change things up. Revenge, again, they just kind of banged it out with the things I put there. But they've been very, very good to me. But they do take that direction. Like I had to tell them, I'm like, I want this guy standing on this water thing. There's like a little kid that was there. I'm like, get that kid out of there. Don't want him. Put this guy and reflect him. Then I was like, put this guy on his horse, make it just a silhouette, put it on top of this empty grave and put Graves in the background. So, But and they do unlimited revisions and stuff like that. Let me see the Traders. Let me see if I can find this cover for you, dude. You're going to hate it. Original cover. That is it. So this is before, just so you know, this was before the whole AI controversy. This was Wombo art. This is back when AI couldn't do anything. Let's see if that cup pulls up. But this is the original cover. And I sold 20. I actually sold like almost 100 of these.
Can you pull it up, Dewey? It's in the private chat.
Yeah. Hold on just a second. I got to move it
dude.
over.
And I don't know how. I mean, like some people know about this, a lot of people don't. You know, like it didn't look terrible or anything like that for like in person, but it's not good. Like, look at that.
Oh,
Yeah, it's not great.
well, what is that? I can't really.
I
tell.
put in fantasy battle onto Wumbo art, which was like before AI got good. And that's it. But
And comparatively, we
right.
have then that.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and I'm still very happy with what they're doing. I'm going to do my last cover with them, and then I'm going to try to kickstart a special edition. I've got a few artists on my radar. I should build a few of them recently, and I'm really excited about, I think, the things that they could do. But my big thing is, and this is what I think is kind of, you know, for my big message is, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars to be a author. Like I've spent maybe $500 to $600, and most of that was my website that I no longer have. And you know, just do what you need to do. Like, you know, find ways to make it happen. Cause like you really don't owe anybody anything. Like, you know, people are like, oh, you have to spend thousands of dollars on a cover. I actually have a fourth cover that, like, you know, isn't even out there yet. And I've only spent like maybe less than $200 on covers, you know? It's certainly better if you can, but like I'm a high school teacher. I do driver's education.
I don't think that's necessarily true. And, you know, I think to your point, spend what you want to spend with what you can spend.
Right.
But you don't have to.
It's don't take out a loan. Right.
That sells. I mean, so as long as the book is good and the story is good and your presence is good and authentic, I think that's going to be what is going to sell you. You know, if you're just putting up this fake facade, people smell that bullshit from a mile away.
People like authenticity. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's something I've always tried to do, you know, is be who I am. Like, you know, I mean, I might be a little bit more marketing focused because like I hate bragging on myself. I hate, like, I don't, in real life, I do not, I very rarely talk about my books. I'm not, like, my wife could tell you that. Like, I do not talk about my books to people in real life. I probably should. I just don't like to.
Same.
But, you know, it's just one of those things, you know, like, you know, find your niche and like, or niche and have, you know, have the word of mouth work. Like, I think that's one of the reasons that this year's been very good for me is I think the word of mouth has finally kind of, you know, spiraled a little bit.
And then you find those super fans like Andreas that tell everybody, you know, from the top of the mountains, read traders.
Yeah, dude. Like, I mean, that's what you want.
And I would say too, Mike, one thing I've noticed is the community as well. Like finding your place within the community with like-minded people who believe the same vision as you do for how indie publishing should go and how indie public authors should be. You know, and I remember it's funny because Bill and I, when we met way back in 2017 as critique partners, we went to a writing conference. We've talked about this before, a writing conference, and it, I think was it the DFW con or whatever. So him and I went to that together with our separate works, and I mean, I didn't know. Bill had a better idea than I did, but I had no idea.
Because I went to one before that, so it's like,
well, but what's funny is when I got there, it was like this, all these little unwritten rules that these people had made for themselves, like, you know, and that if you don't fit in, you got to have an agent, and you've got to be traditionally, you know, you've got to really seek that traditionally, you got to have a professionally done cover, you have to have business cards with you, you have to have, and I'm thinking, good Lord, I just want to write a story. I just want to tell my story. It's not, I don't need all this. I don't need this. I need to be with people who believe that the story comes first and not all the accoutrement, you know.
Dude, that's 100% right. Like, I think that's why indie has been really neat is like, you can find those people, you know what I mean? Like, I think and I had a very negative opinion of self-published authors before I became one, because before I found this community is all people just like spamming links and the books aren't very good and stuff like that. But like I that was one of the things that really surprised me is like some of these books, like Bill said, are just like of the utmost quality. And it just, these are people betting on themselves. Like, at this point, like what are good advances at this point? You know what I'm saying? Like somebody told me like, yeah, nothing, right? Somebody was talking to me in a thing and they're like, well, somebody got $2,500 for an advance. I mean, I will most likely crack that this year with my books. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not think I would have gotten that advance. And here's the thing. Let's say I do crack that and the other person, finally cracks that. Who's in the better position, right? Because
the way that works is like they have to. That's how they earn out before they even get paid on top of that.
For sure.
So they have to earn that part out,
and then after that, they get worse royalties.
Yeah. So I think you're winning.
I hope so, dude. It feels like it. It feels like it. I'm very happy. Like, but that's the thing too, and I think that's the thing that really plagues a lot of us is it's always that what's next. You know what I mean? Like you get to the next mountaintop, and it's like, oh wait, there's further mountains. And I was talking to Andrew Meredith, and I was like, it's kind of one of those if this isn't nice, I don't know what is type things. But I was like, if this is all this ever becomes, I'm really happy about this. Like, because I mean. Like, you guys are good friends, you know what I mean? Like, and my wife will tell you, like, I don't hang out with, because I just don't have time. I don't hang out with people a lot. Yeah. But like, me and Bill, we talk most days. Me and Andrew, we talk most days. And, it's nice to find like-minded individuals. And like that itself was a win. And, the little bit extra pocket change is great. The fact that people seem to be enjoying my books, that's really nice as well. But like, if this is all it is, dude, this was way worth it.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I think, we can downplay it, but, going through the early 2010s for myself, writing was a lonely gig. Like I didn't have any, like none of my friends wrote. And then once I started, going to those writers things, and then I met Dewey and a couple of my other critique partners, those became really close friends. I mean, I call Dewey my brother, or I call him Papa Bear now because that's his nickname, Papa Bear.
For sure.
Because he's like my Papa Bear. But it's like, and then finding you and Tim and Andrew and, a couple other people, it's like that has really solidified not just the friendship group, but like finding like the people that understand what you're trying to do. This hobby of ours. Like it is a hobby. Yeah. Like you said, the money could be nice, but it's like this is what makes us happy. This brings us back when, like when we're curmudgeons like today, when you're at 10. Yeah. But if you can sit down and write for, 20 minutes, half hour, whatever that time may be, I'm sure you'll walk away in a much better mood. I know I do. So it's like, finding people that understand what that does for our psyche is the important part. And this is like, I think it's perfect to have, that mindset of if this is it, this is a good it. Tim, perfect.
You nailed it. Yeah,
there, man. Dewey, let's get a question going. We got a few more minutes. You got a few more minutes, Mike?
Yeah, I got a few more minutes.
A couple questions.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to wrap it up with.
Let's wrap it up with a good question.
We have a few left. Here we go. And 8. Yeah. All right. So 8's the crystal ball.
The pawn, just like a lot of characters in Mike's books.
Yes.
Borden's pawns.
It's this one. Which do you think is more likely to exist, aliens or ghosts? Why? And do you actually believe it?
We could talk about this for a very long time. All right. I'm going to give you guys a ghost story real quick. I honestly don't know what I believe about either of these. Like, I'm very open-minded a little bit. I think on a religious level, I have... So, all right, let's go with aliens because that's the easier one to tackle for me. Aliens were one that I really don't know. But one of my favorite books that I've read is Out of the Silent Planet. by C.S. Lewis, and I think that if aliens exist, it would be very similar to that, maybe. And I don't know how to try to tell people like religiously what to believe or whatever, but like in that book, the guy gets taken to another planet. It's Mars, which we now know would not have aliens, but this was the 1930s, and it's really nice there. And he's like going through and seeing it, and he goes to this garden, and he gets to this place, and there's like a stone plinth that has the sun and then all the planets, and one of them is crossed out, and it's Earth. And he's like, that's very strange. And he goes, and in the center of the garden is an angel. And the angel says, oh, well, this, the reason for that is you guys are the ones who failed. And it turns out that every single planet in our solar system had the Garden of Eden, and the only people who ate the fruit were us. And like I feel like based on probability, there are probably aliens. You know what I mean? Like I'm not. And like you guys probably know me pretty well by now. Like I'm a Christian, but I'm not like a fundamentalist. Like I don't believe that the world, was created in like 7 actual days. Stuff like that. I think that there's a lot. I mean, as an English teacher, like there's a lot of good ways to do metaphor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ghosts is a little bit tougher for me. I really don't know what I believe about that. I will say that I do believe that there are ghost-like things. I do believe that there are weird things that we can't fully explain. And here's one of them. And this is 100% true. My wife is right over there, if you want to ask her about this later. So when we were first married, we went on this ghost tour of Greensboro. Greensboro, North Carolina, if you've never been there, is actually a pretty cool city. I went on a ghost tour. It was really cool. They told us a bunch of ghost stories. Some of them were scary. Some of them weren't. But one of the ones that like stuck with me is there's this one hotel that was really, really old. I forget which one it was. If you go to Greensboro, like downtown Greensboro, and you see a really old hotel, it's that one. Like that's like there's only one that it could be.
You can pick it out. You could pick it out.
You could pick it out. And like one room was so haunted by this one thing, like they actually would not rent, according to the guy. I never followed up on this, but they said that one room was so haunted that if a single female wanted to get that room, they would tell that like if that was the only room that was available, they'd tell them that they were booked up. Unless the female was like, no, let me get that room, because literally the woman would wake up feeling like she was pinned down and somebody was on top of her. And apparently that happened so much that they won't rent it. So I don't know. The one that was weird to me is there's a prostitute with red hair that would go into rooms that if a woman left her purse in there, like her purse's stuff would be scattered about supposedly. And then like the shower would be running sometimes, and there'd be like red hairs because she was a redheaded prostitute. And there'd be, red hairs in the drain. So I was like, yeah, that's a pretty cool story. There's some really cool stories. There were actually like a few that were scarier than that. But we get home and my wife's like brushing her hair, and we're just like talking about how cool it was. And she just like pauses, and I'm like, what's up? And she's like, and my wife has very like basically like my color brown hair, maybe a little bit lighter, very fine, very thin hair, like not thin, but you know what I mean. And she like pulls up a hair, and there's a thick, coarse red hair attached to her scalp. And
wow.
I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm not a liar. I'm very like down to earth. I don't know how to explain that. Like I know that sometimes you get off-colored hairs, but here's the thing. Let's say that was an off-colored hair or whatever. Like, like sometimes you get like red hairs in your beard or whatever.
Yeah.
She has never before or since had that red hair. And it did not look anything like her other hairs, like as far as like the coarseness or the thickness. So I think there's stuff out there. I don't understand it. I'm just an English teacher. You know what I mean? But dude, and that's the thing. And like, I will on a religious level like that, like without getting weird religiously, like I don't play with Ouija boards. I don't play with a lot of that stuff because I do think there is stuff there that we can't explain. You know what I'm saying? Like I would rather not. You know what I mean?
I think Dewey's loving this answer because I'm like the complete opposite. I'm like, I don't
build all. I don't believe in ghosts.
No, dude. Before that, I would have been more with you. You know what I mean? Like, but now, like, I mean, like, and you know me, like, I know you, like, you're not a religious dude, Bill, but like,
yeah,
like, here's the thing, and like, this is my thing. I'm not a science guy. Like, I respect science, the hell out of scientists. I can only go with what I've seen and what like my life stuff, and like, I just don't have enough information to say whether or not any of these things happened, but I will say my wife had a red hair that time. So, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what that's about.
That's really pretty bizarre.
Yeah,
but,
dude.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
no. Let me clarify. I don't believe in ghosts, but I do agree with you that there are just things we cannot explain.
Right. And I mean, like, whether or not they're actually ghosts or something else, you know what I mean? I've seen a lot of explanations for it. I don't know, dude. Like
Yeah,
kids
don't have
ask
that
me,
weird hair and say there's like, you
yeah.
know, like that one guy that's always the meme that has that weird hair and he looks like a surfer dude, but he frames it
Oh.
like there's ghosts.
So here's a good question
Giorgio.
for you. Here's a good question
Yeah.
for you. Whether or not aliens or ghosts exist, would that change how you live your life at all?
No.
Maybe.
See, that's the thing is like,
only because if aliens exist and they're known, like if they come and land on the White House, and
So your
whatever,
anxiety would probably just go through the roof.
or I would, go
Become
to
a
the country.
prepper. You
I
know,
would
go live in the basement and you're
become a prepper.
yeah.
So here's my theory about that, and it's a lot like nuclear war. If it happens, there's nothing we can do about it.
Yep.
I'm just,
I mean, they're already
you know
here.
What I mean?
Yeah. There's
No,
the
that's what
cloaking
like
technology
if we're gonna get like Independence Day, I'd like to be part of the survival group, but if I'm not, just take me out right away. Like it's just
it's what I always tell students. They're like, what would you do if there's a zombie apocalypse? And I'm like, die. Yeah, like I get eaten pretty soon. No,
I would be the one that like we've always joked about this. Like if with my wife, when we watched Walking Dead back in the day, we're like, if that actually happened, take me out early on. Like I don't want to like try to survive something like that, but I also don't want to be like the Walking Dead and just like walk around dead.
Right.
Like just take me out, hit me in the back of the head a couple times, and
yeah, dude, for real. Like I mean, and that's the thing is like we can only go with the information that we have. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and that's the thing too, is like most of the stuff that we know that exists the way we see it has only been like 150 years. Like, if you go back 200 years, things were very different. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I tell people because they're always criticizing education. And I'm like, how long do you think we've been teaching kids? And they're like, oh, forever. I'm like, no, like, I mean, in schools. And they're like, it's been about 100 years, like maybe 150 at this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, it has not existed that long. So, like, when we're changing education, like, why do you keep changing it? Because we don't know what we're doing. We're still figuring out. We're still figuring out the best way to educate kids because it's been, and that's the thing is like we act like we're this fully formed civilization and species, and we're not at all. We're
not even close.
Not even close. Like I've still seen things where it's like we were not ready for the internet, and I agree with that. Like the internet was like probably needed another forevers to make us ready for it.
I mean, we're still not ready for it, and we know what we're talking, like supposedly know what we're doing, and it's just like, no, we can't. Like with misinformation all over the place, you can't.
Oh, dude, like that's like it reminds me of, like this thing where it's like all the parents that told us not to talk to strangers on the internet are like reposting these things, and it's like that are clearly not real.
Then how would us three be in the same room together if we weren't talking to strangers on the internet?
Which also, as an introvert, very happy because like that's one of the reasons I like D&D on Roll20. It's like I can close it.
Yeah,
we're done at the end of the night. And I mean, it's not like I don't like people. It's just like my battery gets very drained very easily. Yeah,
and it's okay not to like people too.
Well, that's why we're on the Curmudgeon show. That's
for sure.
No, that's a good way to wrap this up. So, Mike, thank you for joining us. Do you have any last words you would like to share, or say anything, or promote yourself, if you will?
Sure. One, if you are in the hurricane zone, stay safe. Two,
likewise.
Yep. Read books. Doesn't have to be my book. Just read. Think about things. Question everything. But if you do want to read my books, find them on Amazon under Michael Roberti. And if you do, I recommend you start with The Traitors We Are, go to The Revenge of Thousands, and then A Grave for Us All. Hopefully, I will have Until Worms Remain out in 2025, but I don't know. I got 2 jobs and 2 kids. What's going to happen? I don't know. Check out the other Will Wraith Press authors, Andrew D. Meredith, Bill Adams, Dewey Conway, Timothy Wolf, all excellent authors, all excellent Dewey artists. Andrew did some art as well. That's really great. And just like look out and like expand your horizons. I think that's another thing that's my thing. If all you read is fantasy, go read something that's not fantasy. If all you read is sci-fi,
Agreed.
go read something that's not sci-fi.
Agreed.
Some of the best books I've read have just been absolute mind benders of a genre. Go read if you need a place to start. This is, and I mean, I know that these are all probably fantasy people watching this. Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro will change your world. Just read it. Don't look up anything about it. Just go get it. Read it. It's going to change your mind about everything.
Wow.
Well, that's a good capper there. So, Mike, thank you for joining us. Everybody else that joined us live or will watch us later, thank you. We appreciate it. Dewey, any last words?
No, I just want to thank everybody in the chat for showing up and for Mike for coming, because this was a great talk. Thank you so much.
Good. So thank you guys. Thank you everyone else. This was Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon, and again, like Mike said, go buy his books. Mr. Roberti down there, go buy his books. Thanks everyone. Have a good night, and we'll see you next time on Schmudgeon of Curmudgeon.